everyone's ready to go? Also, okay, everyone?
Yep. Yeah.
Alright, get started in 3, 2, 1, go.
Woo!
So this is X4 low percent. This was the first X game on the PlayStation. And low percent is what I consider to be probably the most difficult and probably the most tedious of the categories in this game. They are split up between the characters, so X and 0, but then each one of them has their own type of category, like 100 and 90% and whatnot. For low percent, I will not be collecting anything. No hearts, or no health upgrades, no E-tanks, no armor upgrades. Whoa! I have only seen that move, I think, twice before. So it was a bit unfortunate that I got that and he hit me, but what can you do?
Oh man.
That is actually that's actually the intro boss that we'll be fighting later on. There's absolutely no purpose to fighting him in this part of the stage. It doesn't change anything up. So for the first couple stages here, it's actually no different than any other category. Low and 100% had the exact same start to their runs, and even 90% depending on which route you want to take. So with the first boss here, he can do one of 3 things right off the bat after I hit him. What I want him to do is I want him to stay on the ground and shoot at 3 orbs. I want him to stay on the ground and on screen as much as possible. It's an okay pattern, but not ideal. So this will probably be about a 2-minute intro stage.
Didn't we kill this guy like an hour ago?
Maybe. He became a dragon or something. Oh my god, I didn't hit him. Okay. So what I wanted to do there is I wanted to end the fight on the far left side of the screen. Because what happens is that Colonel's going to come in and the screen's going to move so that X and Colonel are like facing down. So standing in a certain spot on the left side of the screen will reduce the amount of screen scroll, which saves a bit of time in the long run. So a couple cutscenes to skip. I just gotta do a bunch of text mashing because it has to introduce every single Maverick and stage. No, we're not worried about that.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Nope, not at all. The first Maverick is going to be Dragoon. Dragoon is first for a couple of different reasons. One is that his weapon is very useful, just across the board. And 2 is that he's actually one of the easier bosses to muster down. It's him and Spider that are probably the easiest 2 to buster down, but his weapon actually, or Dragoon's weapon makes Spider stage a bit quicker, so we go with Dragoon first, even in low percent. Not too much to talk about. I want to time my charge shots so that it destroys meteors. I let go of one a little bit too early, but not a huge deal. Okay, I actually got one of those jumps. Those little turrets, they're a bit tight to jump over. It's a very small window, but if you can do it, it's about a half second time save if you can do it. Plus, you don't take any damage, so if you get an unlucky health drop, that's even more time saved. And again, meters coming down and up. You just want to time the charge shot properly. Now these mech jumps, or these turret jumps, are a bit harder to do, and I didn't get any, so not a big deal. And here to take the mech armor. I can actually take this all the way into the Dragoon fight if I wanted. There are 2 paths you can take to get into the fight, and this is the lower one. And I believe it's not entirely sure which is faster, with the mech or without the mech for that section. I want to say, for the most part, with the mech is slightly faster on an RTA level. But this is a Dragoon. As you can see, I'm using half charge shots to fight him. It's because his iframes last about as long as it takes to charge up a half charge shot. So I want to stay as close to him as possible and hit him with half charge shots as much as possible. So that was a pretty good fight. He can do some things that he can just dodge your shots, or he can just jump all over the stage, but no, he worked pretty well. This is also the only Maverick that actually says anything before or after you beat him. Also, another time save to keep in mind is that when you get new weapons, generally, or there's usually a little announcer guy who says, "You got this weapon." But if you start mashing buttons just as the screen loads in, it actually skips that. So that saves about 3 or 4 seconds per weapon got. So you want to be paying attention for those loading screens. And now we go to Web Spider.
Yeah, Web Spider is definitely my first skill.
Yeah, Web Spider is a very beginner-friendly first Maverick. So if you're like playing this for the first time, Spider's probably the easiest one to go to first. He also has boots, which I will not be getting because it's low percent. It's in this little cavern on the right. Say goodbye. He also has a heart that you can get in the second half of the stage, which I will not be getting because it's low percent.
And that heart also requires Dragoon's weapon.
That is right. So here's the little falling log section. It can be a little bit dangerous. And then here's a little waterfall climb. I apparently didn't spawn this guy high enough. If the camera's high enough when that guy spawns in, or in that section, the second little harpoon guy will spawn in sooner, and so he'll start shooting faster, because they always do the same thing at the start. And if he starts shooting faster, I can actually get by without taking damage. So I just switched to fire here just so I can have it ready for later. Even though it's pretty easy to switch over. It's just one less thing to worry about for the rest of the stage. And this is actually something that's new to the X series with X4, is that you can have a weapon out and use your buster at the same time. So I just went over the heart there. No, never mind, it's right over here. I can't remember where things are.
There's like 2 of those blocks in here.
Yep, so we can actually burn parts of the trunk with fire. When we burn right there, it actually saves a little bit of time to do so. Because it saves going up and around the treetops. And this is Web Spider. Now the idea for Web Spider is that I want to get 3 fully charged shots per cycle 3 times, and that will send him into his second phase. In his first phase, he will drop down and either shoot a web or go right back up to the treetops. And I want him to shoot a web so that I can actually get him with charge shots. However, if he does go up early, it actually is possible, or it is actually a little bit faster, because that way you'll get him down to yellow health as he's going into this phase right here, where he just kind of spawns a web, and he just kind of climbs all around it. He will always do the same thing for attacks as well, in this pattern as well. Ah, I got grabbed. So he'll shoot out those little spiders, and then shoot out a web. And normally he's supposed to shoot out 2 webs, but I guess if you get grabbed, he just shoots out more little spiders. I didn't actually know that because I generally don't get grabbed there. So coming up next will be Frost Walrus. And the Frost Walrus has a part in his stage that is probably the first major point of randomness in the run. That would be his mini-boss. Now let's play.
I'm not sure why you're going down this route. I'm not sure if you want to talk about that, because Frost Walrus, I think, is weak to fire.
That is right. So
why is fire?
We go to the Spider second because Lightning Web is actually Lightning Web being the weapon we got from Spider. It can act as a wall that we can use, and I'll actually be using it right at the start of the stage here. I'm going to switch to Web and shoot one out, then climb up this wall. There's a kind of like a hidden area in Frost Walrus' stage. There's a bunch of health, a 1-up, everything. It's a little bit faster and low percent to do that than try to go under where the heart normally is, just because you don't have boots, so you can't really air dash, so it's kind of harder to get through this section with all those spawning snow blocks. But yeah, we do Spider second just so we have the Lightning Web, which is a very useful utility weapon. Other than that, we go Walrus third just because it's weakness order. Plus, we need to do Walrus before the... We need to do Walrus as one of the first four Mavericks anyway, because X has to fight Colonel after the 4th Maverick. And Colonel is weak to Frost Tower, which is Frost Walrus's weapon that he gives you. So this is the Walrus mini-boss. You can do one of 3 things. You can go into that little fist, go off screen, and then pound the ground. Or you can just kind of hide and go towards the wall. Or you can actually slam up against the wall. For low percent, I'm still not entirely sure which pattern is the best. Generally, just whatever pattern allows you to hit him the most is the best pattern. So that wasn't too bad of a fight. Here's actually one of my favorite parts in the speedrun. Here's Walrus 2 Ice Block section. Get hit by that. Basically just timing the charge shots right to destroy the ice blocks. Ooh, shot it. Charge shot a little too early there. So unlike X1 through 3, it's actually okay to have a fully charged shot ready to go whenever you want. Because it's very, very difficult to create lag in this game. It's something you would actually never run into normally. It's something you have to kind of force. Unlike an X1 through 3 where having a charge shot would actually create more lag. Now for the Walrus fight, it's a pretty easy fight. You start off with a charge shot, get to the right side of him and hit him with a fire so that he goes to the left wall. That way, he is stunned for less time, so I can hit him more, or I can start hitting him again sooner. So that was a pretty good fight. It can be kind of hard to hit him while he's sliding because you need to distance yourself properly so that you can hit him with fire, but have enough time to get away from him so you don't get hit. Because when you use fire on the ground, it does keep you in place for a little bit of time. And this will give us Frost Tower. So basically the route from here on out is more or less weakness order. We go into Jet Stingray next, which is an auto-scroller stage. And I think many people...
Vehicle level?
Yep, the vehicle level, the bike section. Now I do have to be careful here. There is a heart that I can grab accidentally if I'm not careful. So I might just focus on this first part of the stage so that doesn't happen. So I will focus a little bit until I get after or past the heart.
These jet stages, you have this ability to dash on the bike, and it does kind of keep you in the air for a while, but you have to be a little careful with it. There's a lot of places where you can get yourself pinned against the wall, and then the screen just crushes you. Makes these sections a little annoying, whether you're trying to do it fast or not.
Another thing to keep in mind is that you'll see me jump and then dash, instead of just dashing. You want to air dash because if you dash on the ground, it only gives you a tiny speed boost. But when you're air dashing, it gives you much longer of a speed boost, and it can actually speed up the stage ever so slightly. Now in this section of the stage, there's an E-Tank that you can grab near the end. That one's actually a lot harder to get to just by doing it, so it's almost impossible to get accidentally. So there really isn't any worry to get that one. But this stage, or this section of the stage, I consider to be a little bit more dangerous because there are more walls that just kind of stick up out of the ground. But it's nothing too bad. It's a very quick stage, but it's very annoying. That's probably the most dangerous part right there. Now Stingray himself, he's another big point of luck in the run. It's really just a matter of whether or not he dives. You don't want him to dive too much as X. One dive is okay, but more than one dive in a row is not good. So right there's one dive. If he doesn't dive again, that's fine. There we go. So he'll shoot out these little stingrays. If you don't destroy them, they'll just kind of run along the ground for forever. Now you see that I have Frost Tower out, which is his weakness, but I'm not using it. That's because if I hit him with his weakness, he'll actually get stuck in a solid block of ice. And when he's in that block of ice, I can't hurt him at all. So I want to keep him out of the ice until the last hit. And there are a few bosses like that, where hitting them with their weakness is actually worse than just, or is slower than hitting them with their buster. Let's see, the bosses that are like that, Spider, Spider, Dragoon, Walrus, or not Walrus, and Stingray are probably the biggest three that I can think of that are like that. So now it gives us Ground Hunter, which won't be getting too much use, but is useful for the next Maverick stage. But because Stingray was the 4th Maverick, we have to go fight Colonel now. Colonel could be one of the trickier fights to get down for low percent. And just for X in general, really. It all really depends on, it comes down to manipulating him so that he goes to the part of the screen that you want, and also so that you hit him with Frost Tower as much as possible. So he can do two things here. He can either slash, or he can teleport away. Either way is okay. The important part is that I manipulate him so that he goes to this left side of the screen. All in all, the most important part is that I end off the fight on the left side of the screen, so that I don't travel as much, because when the fight ends, I go to this part, and Colonel will teleport over there. So if I end off on the left side of the screen, I walk for less. So, the same idea as finishing a boss in X1 in the center of the stage. Now coming up is Slash Beast. Any runs of this game that are Buster only? I have done Buster only runs of this game. There aren't any leaderboard categories for it though.
I think what you said earlier is kind of true. It's like, there are people who will have races of Buster only X games, even some of the classic games too. There's not as many Buster only leaderboards for games, the later games in the series, classic or really X at all.
Yeah. Buster only isn't too popular in the X series. Anyway, Slash B stage is a bit unique in the fact that the stage will only go to the transition point at a fixed interval. So I need to be a little bit quick. I got a little unlucky there because Met Bullets are in the way. Oh my god. Met Bullets are the worst because they go through everything and they don't go away when you hit them. So if a Met shoots a bullet to the right, it can be very annoying to try and dodge around. Okay, I got a bit of a slower transition. I can tell when the transitions are going to be coming because of the music. So right there, kind of, the music looped around, so it wasn't too great of a transition, but not the worst. The second half of the stage also has a similar idea when it comes to this train breaking near the end. Here comes another heart that's very easy to get, so I have to make sure I jump over it. Now, as far as collectibles go, there's only one other part in the stage, or no, two other parts in the run where I could accidentally get some collectibles. It shouldn't be too big of a deal though. And there you can see me using Lightning Web as a kind of a wall. It saves a little bit of time trying to wall climb, or instead of wall climbing those sections. Now this is Slash Beast. This is one of the easier fights in the speedrun, just because you have those weaknesses. And he, like a lot of other bosses, will reset what they're doing once they get hit by the weakness. So you'll see me here, hitting him with Ground Hunter over and over.
I'm just not sure why they ran out of animal names and had to name this guy Beast.
It's a good question.
Shoutouts to Search Snakes.
So coming up will be Split Mushroom, who has one of my favorite Maverick stages in the game. There really isn't anything too big to worry about in Split Mushroom stage. Probably has one of the more technical parts in the run, in the first section of the stage. But there's nothing too challenging. want to make sure I jump over these little blue turret guys. Now these bats, they're kind of random in which direction they go after they drop their bombs. And I want them to go away from the direction I'm traveling, but that doesn't always happen. It's a bit of a time loss, not a huge deal though. So I'm going to be switching the Rising Fire, one of the most technical parts of the run right here. Also one of my favorites, and I got a health drop. Alright, not bad. Now, if I had any of the armor parts, I could actually skip this boss just by jumping over the camera lock trigger, but that's not the case, so we're gonna have to fight this guy. He's pretty easy to do. All I gotta do is just wait for him to jump up and then drop a frost tower on him. Oh! I got stuck into the platform. That is one of the dangers of doing this fight this way. Not a huge time loss, but it's a bit annoying. Alright, let's see. There should be like a safer way to do this, probably. Just drop a frost tower, and knock him back into the platform, and then I can just kind of wall ride right here. That frost tower was a little bit too far left. Alright, we're out of there though. Alright, now for Purple Staircase, all I gotta do is start with Twin Slasher and take out these little spiky balls guys. Easy section. Now coming up, it's gonna be a little bit of a falling block section. There's a heart in this room that we're gonna be skipping. There it goes. And after this, it's just gonna be an elevator. Another auto-scroller. And I think this is the last auto-scroller in the game. Yeah, it's the last auto-scroller in the game. So, not really much of anything to do right now. If I had the Buster upgrade, there is actually a trick I could do to skip the last half of this elevator. Coming up right after this section, or this block right here. Because with the Buster upgrade I would have had to show you, but can't do that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to damage boost off this little flower. Kind of get a head start at the end of this elevator. Now Split Mushroom is another boss where he resets when you hit him with his weakness. Which is a bit of a shame because he's actually a really fun boss to do without his weakness. But just gotta hit him with 12 webs and he's dead. And personally, I like to just shoot along with his screams, as morbid as that sounds. Alright, so coming up next is Cyber Peacock, who has a bit of a unique mechanic with this stage, or at least the first part of the stage. And oddly enough, it's something that we kind of... let me retry that. For his first part of the stage, there's 3 sections to it. In each section, you're timed with how well or how fast you do that section. If you do it quick enough, the game rewards you by taking you to a small room that has a health upgrade, an E-tank, and an armor part, respectively. We actually have to avoid those things. We have to jump over them like we did in Slash Beast. So the weapon we just got from Split Mushroom, Soul Body, it allows us to destroy those yellow balls right there. If those yellow balls touch us, they'll grab us and keep us locked in place. So here's the heart upgrade, we got to jump over that. So this second section right here kind of plays like a maze unless you have Soul Body. If you have Soul Body, you can just run right through it. Easy as can be. And I'm going to switch to Lightning Web here, just for a couple of web strats in the 3rd section. So just place Place a web right there. Maybe another web jump right here. Saves a little bit of time with each jump. Switch back to soul body. I want to take a damage boost there to get past those ones, and then use web to get up here. It's a bit of a quicker way to climb up rather than go up to the wall next to the ladder. Alright, hardest trick in the jump. The hardest trick in the game. Easy every time. So the thing about armor capsules in this game is that once you get up to them, you get a little saying from, or Dr. Light will talk to you just like all the other X games. He'll give you an explanation of what the part does. But because we're not getting them at all, it wastes time to do that, so you can jump over the capsule and skip the the light text. But that is a bit of a harder jump to do, just because you don't have the boots, which can make that jump a lot trivial, or much easier to do, I guess. And it has to be a very precise web placement. Now here's Cyber Peacock. Again, he resets if you hit him with his weakness. I think all bosses in this game do. It's still not entirely sure, or entirely clear which is faster, to hit Peacock with a Charge Buster Shot or Soul Body. If he's doing one certain attack, definitely Charge Buster Shots. He's not giving me the right attacks for this at all.
Soul Body definitely the safe strat there at least.
Yeah, Soul Body is definitely a safer strat here. So you can see he's doing 2 attacks right now. He's either jumping up or he's, shooting up spikes like that. There is a third attack he can do where he goes off to the side of the stage and starts shooting missiles at you, which apparently he doesn't want to do right now. No, he just doesn't want to do it at all. Which is unfortunate. So that was probably a bit slower than it could have been, but still not a huge deal. Now coming up is Storm Owl. Storm Owl is typically a harder boss fight in the speedruns of this game. But because we have aiming laser, it's a very easy boss fight. And I'll explain a bit more once I get to that. However, there is a heart that I have to avoid. And it's actually right in our path. And because for that section I'll be in a ride armor, I'll be too large to actually jump over it because of where it's placed. So I'll have to wait a moment to let the heart pass before I actually proceed in the mech armor. Now these bullets for the ride armor can be a bit tricky to aim. So you gotta be very careful with when to shoot them. But got through that section just fine. Alright, now coming up is one of the more, I guess, it's a little bit tricky to get down. It's called Spike Skip. So what I'll be doing is taking a little bit of a damage boost to get across a spike pit right here. Okay, it's a bit scary sometimes, but not a big deal. Here's a mini boss. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be using Lightning Web. I didn't get that third hit off. Not a huge deal though. Use Lightning Web to hit that boss. That actually does the most damage out of any weapon. And that's actually a more recent strat that we found for using Lightning Web on that mini boss. Shoutouts to another X4 low percent runner, New, who had the idea to use web on that mini boss. It can be a bit harder to do that though. This is Storm Owl. So as you can see, he gets reset when you hit him with aiming laser. If you hit him with aiming laser while he's off screen, he will not switch spots on the screen, so he'll stay on this left side of the screen as long as I make him. So I can just take him out with aiming laser the entire way. So that is 8 mavs done. And I think the 8 mav time was about 29:30, which, not too bad, not too bad. So now it's just the Sigma stages, which is actually the harder part of the run for low percent, by far. A spaceport here, it's a pretty straightforward stage. There's nothing really too fancy going on, just proper placement of buster shots. So I'm going to switch to Twin Slasher here to get through this section, which has a lot of spike balls, which all go down in one hit to Twin Slasher. Then switch to Web for more web strats. Oh, it can be kind of harder to get through these ledges and ladders. For some reason, the game will just push you out of ledges sometimes if you're just too low. So that was that stage. That could have gone a little bit better, but getting pushed out of the ledge, I couldn't really do much. So here's Colonel once again. He's a bit faster, he has a couple new moves. So this fight is a little bit harder on low percent. It's a lot more dangerous. But nothing I can't handle.
Ladders just seem to be mere suggestions in X4.
They really are. Like, there was absolutely no reason you should be taking ladders in X4.
Notice that in X3 as well, and a lot of the later X games, I guess. Ladders are just kind of for show.
Yeah. But it's kind of nice, really.
I would love to not have to use ladders.
Yeah.
That's why.
I'm trying to remember if there is a ladder in X8.
It probably is.
I mean, Zero just flies around in that game anyway, so...
That is true. So this is probably the worst stage in the low percent run, by far. So normally, the strats for this stage, it's just a long corridor. The only strats that we have are damage boosts through everything. Which is a bit of an issue in low percent because you don't really have any health to work with. Oh my god, I'm not in a good state right now. Okay, this is really bad. I have absolutely no health for this fight. I have literally 1 health for this fight. So having low health for double fight is not good whatsoever. Because he's one of the harder bosses to do with his weakness, because every time you hit him with his weakness, which is double cyclone, he will spawn out 2 little ads. They're either going to be like spinny blade things, or they're going to be gunships. If I get gunships, that's going to happen. That was to be expected. Oh well, now it doesn't have full health, so this fight should be a lot easier now. This is probably the most difficult of the boss fights in the entire low percent run, but not the most tedious. Not having any health for that boss fight really kind of hurts too, so... No, I want to make sure I keep the screen a little bit clean. Oof, because the lack of health makes things a lot scarier for this fight. And I want to not hit double, run into double at all. Because that's 6 damage and you only have about 18 health, I want to say, for the base health. Something like that. I don't remember the exact number. Either way, you don't want to touch double. It's like touching the alien in Mega Man 2.
Yeah, this screen gets really busy with Owl's weapon.
Yeah, it really does. So this is general stage. We're going bottom route, which is slightly faster because you don't have to deal with the boss doors. Now, it looked like I just died there, or I was going to die. Nope, that's fine. Shoutouts to new. I'm gonna grab the health there just in case. Now, General is typically the more random boss in this game. For low percent, I really don't want him to go up at all. I want him to stay low to the ground so that way I can get these Twin Slashers off on him. Or really just make sure he doesn't shoot his fists at all, so that I can hit him with Twin Slasher.
Show me your true power.
So let's see what he does here. Okay, good pattern. So Twin Slasher can be kind of hard to aim because it shoots at an angle. And General already has kind of a funky hitbox as is. So it can be kind of hard to hit General just because of the way that Twin Slasher fires and the way its hitbox is shaped. But that was actually probably the best General fight I've ever had in low percent. So now comes the refights, which are pretty standard for low percent, nothing too special. And it probably is the most boring part of the run, to be honest, because it's just the 8 bosses all again, the exact same way.
Even Dragon?
Yep, even Dragoon. I mean, there's slight differences with Dragoon, because you can use double Cyclone on him, but you really don't want to unless it's the final hit, because it takes too long for him to go into his little, ow, I got hit by my weakness animation, and then get out of iframes. Now I have Twin Slasher out here, but that's really just because if he gives me annoying patterns in the second phase, I still want to do the exact same thing as the first time fighting him. Alright, good first phase. Let's see how the second phase goes. Now, even though there really isn't any randomness in the second phase of this fight, I really don't want him to be up there. I don't want him to be at the top of his web, because it makes it a bit annoying to try and hit him. So now I'll be fighting Dragoon. Now, Dragoon's fight's a bit special in the fact that you don't actually start the room with the warning, you actually start to the left of it, which is kind of odd. So if you're not paying attention, you could just be sitting there for a few seconds without even realizing it. Ooh. Had a couple shots just tink off him, so shot a little bit too early. And it, probably lost about a second total. Yeah, not a whole lot to talk about in the refights here. Same idea for the refight in Owl is to just hit him, then get him off screen, and then keep him off screen while just pretty much stun locking him. Something I didn't note when I first fought him was that I actually do kind of manipulate him. When he goes off screen at the top, I stay to the left of the screen so that way he starts on the right side of the screen. So that way I just know where to go for the off-screen hits. And then from there, just fight him as normal. Walrus, same idea, his first time around. Now for the refights in low percent, you actually do want to be a little bit careful with how much damage you take. Because getting the health refill does take up a considerable amount of time. So you don't want to take too much damage in the refights. So it's okay to play the refights a little bit safer. But there really isn't too much that will... there's not really too much that will actually hurt you. Outside of the intentional damage boosts. Except for maybe Stingray and Peacock. Those are the two fights you want to be a bit careful with.
Stingray, I think, is still one of the more annoying fights, just because of the way he dives. It's really fast if you're not ready for it.
Yeah, Stingray when he dives is a bit harder to kind of deal with. You can actually hit him while he's diving, though, when he's doing his little swoop. But you have to kind of time it kind of well. It can be kind of hard to hit him when he's doing that if you're not used to the way that the way that the Buster fires. Once again, Mushroom is no different. than the first time around.
Poor Mushroom.
He deserves it. He knows what he did. I don't, but he does. Also, I missed a shot. And by that, I mean I didn't actually shoot. You have exactly enough webs to kill Mushroom. You get 12 webs, it takes 12 webs to hit him, or to kill him. And again, I have Frost Tower out here, but it's really just to get the final hit. Or there is one other special circumstance where you'd use Frost Tower on him. Hopefully that won't happen though. Whoop. Alright, I think that was a bit better than the first time around. And again, Peacock's no different. Hopefully he gives me a better pattern this time. Doesn't look like it. Ah, there it is. So, like I said, you'll start shooting these missiles. Want to hit him a couple times. Now I'm going to be playing it safe because now I have yellow health. Alright. So that's that for the refights. Now coming up is the big man himself, Sigma.
Big Sigs.
Big Sig. Now, the thing about Sigma for low percent is that he's not hard, he's just annoying. It's not even the first two parts of the fight that are annoying, it's the third part. The first two parts of this fight are completely consistent. There's absolutely no randomness to it. Everything he does is all based on what you do. The third fight's the exact opposite, everything is random. So this first part, he only gets damaged by Rising Fire. So every time he gets hit, he just kind of teleports away. Every third attack, he'll swoop across the screen like that, you know, and then repeat. Easy stuff. Oops, not yet. There we go. Now I want to switch to Lightning Web, which is a weakness for this part. Now, he's going to start off by jumping and then throwing his scythe around. And after he does that, he's gonna throw the scythe at you, or at me, I guess. And he has two different moves based on where the scythe lands. If it lands on the wall, he does this, which is much safer and easier to avoid, just get damage on him. The other move he does is, if the scythe hits the ground, he throws boomerangs at you. He throws 4 of them at you, so he'll spawn out 4 boomerangs, and then they'll go at you once, and then they'll go at you again. All 4 of them do that, so it's very hard to avoid those attacks. So you really, really don't want to do that. You really don't want him to do that. Okay, so this is the most random part of the fight, and in the entire game. So he has 2 little sections here in this part of the fight. He has that gunner's phase right there, and he has all these transformer head things, and then he has this ground head right here, as I like to call it. Okay, so he gave me a good attack first time around. So the ground head right there can do 1 or 2 attacks, as can the Gunner Sigma can. What I want the ground head to do is to just blow air at me, pretty much. This is not the attack I want Gunner Sigma to do, though. He can stay at the end and then kind of swoop across the screen with his laser. or he can just kind of just fire at you wherever you are. This is the attack I do not want, where he sucks in a bunch of rocks and then spits them back out. Because Ground Hunter cannot go through these rocks, and I don't have enough health to really take any of the hits. I just kind of have to hide in the corner there. So if he gives me a bunch of those, it's just very annoying to deal with. So as you can see, I'm jumping as high into the screen as I can. Sigma will always aim where you are as he's about to attack. Okay, I got a 2 Cycle Gunner. That's not bad now. Let's see how Ground Hunter wants to play. Okay, good attack, good attack. Okay, he's in yellow health. I should be able to kill him next round, I think. He gives me a good pattern. Ah, of course he doesn't. I'm going for it. Oh, 1 hit away. Okay, so I should be able to take any sort of damage and be absolutely fine next round. There we go. I think he gave me a bad pattern there, too. Screw you, Sigma. Okay, time's coming up very soon. It's when I meet General after this door. Alright, time is now.
GG.
So,
Good run.
yep, guess what time I had on my end? I had a 46:47, which is 4 seconds faster than my recorded PB.
Nice.
That's honestly a little upsetting for me. I have had runs that were
That's
easily more than a minute ahead going into Sigma, and then just died because of Sigma. So to have a run that had 2 deaths in an okay Sigma and still PB. What can you do, right?
Yo, nice work.
Yeah,
PB.
thanks.
Yo, that's a PV?
That is a PB.
Dang, how much?
For recorded PB, it's 4 seconds. For an unrecorded PB, it's 2 seconds.
Nice.
Very nice.
Pretty far below estimate too. That puts us back on track for the marathon. Kind
Yeah.
of.
That final boss can go so wrong in so many ways. You could lose up to 5 minutes easily.
Oh dang.
So I wanted to have a very generous estimate in case worst case scenario.
Yeah.
But thanks for having me, Resi.
No problem. Thanks for you guys hanging out during the Mega Man block.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, it was good times.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
No problem. Next up, we've got TH Plays with Link's Awakening DX. He's gonna start the TGH block, one hint. Because after, he'll be ending off the marathon with Undertale.